Will anyone else be joining? This is my first class, so I don't know. Is it just you two guys?
No, sir. Some other guys. No, sir.
So other people will be joining now, or should
Rohit
I?
வீட்டுக்கு போயிட்டு இருக்காரு வர
Okay,
ஆரம்பிச்சு
okay. Yeah, let's wait for a second.
ஓகே.
Let's wait for like a minute. So this batch has three people then, or more. Let's wait for like 5 minutes. So is it just Rohit who will join now, or I'm not really sure. If either of you have Rohit's number, can you find out if he'll be joining? You guys are both comfortable with English, right? Because I don't know Tamil, so there will be a language barrier, but I'll try my best.
Okay, sir.
ஓகே சார்.
Yeah. Guess we can start. Should we start?
Yes, sir.
yes sir.
Okay. Yeah. You don't have to call me sir. Please don't call me sir. Um, so Chitra told me, Chitra ma'am told me that you guys had completed the first three problems in that strings homework. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes sir.
Okay. Okay. So how comfortable? I want this to be interactive, by the way. So yeah, you don't have to mute yourself or anything. I want you guys to speak as much as I do. How comfortable do you think you guys are with strings? Like, did you understand the solutions? Did you understand the problems? You
Yes, we
think, yeah. Hmm.
yes, we tried something, sir,
Yeah.
but some errors and logical corruptions.
Yeah. Errors will, yeah. I mean, errors are a part of life. Like, yeah, that is being a programmer dealing with errors every day. So that will never stop. But the important thing is that you learn and try to understand how to approach these problems. Um, yeah. So I thought I would continue with problem number 4 because the first three are done. Um, so did either of you guys attempt problem number 4? And if you did, Nikesh, maybe you can share your screen. You can if you attempted the problem, we can take a look. It's fine if your program doesn't work or if there are errors. We will go over the problem statement again anyway. And if you made an attempt, we can look at it and we can try to identify what's wrong and fix the bugs. Or Mahesh, yeah, if you have attempted to solve problem number 4, we can look at your attempt.
Sir, I am not comfortable with not calling you, sir.
Okay, okay. Yeah, call me whatever you're comfortable with. That's fine.
O-
Yeah,
Okay, sir.
yeah. So, but did you attempt problem number 4?
Yes, sir. I
You
completed.
did.
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay, great. Why don't you share your screen?
Yes, sir. I
Yeah,
can, sir.
sure, great. What about you, Nikesh? Did you try it out?
Yes, sir. I tried a bit, but it doesn't come out well.
Can you repeat that last part?
Uh,
Sir, is my screen is visible?
Yes, I can see your screen.
Uh,
That is a really nice color theme. Which one are you using?
uh, I think I don't know the name, sir.
But it's really nice. Great choice. Um, yeah. Yeah. By the way, Nikesh, what were you saying? I missed the last part. You attempted it and
but the output,
okay. There's a couple of bugs. That's totally fine. We what we'll do is we'll go over what Mahesh tried out, and then we'll look at your attempt, and we'll try to learn along the way. We'll try to figure out what you guys can improve on. You know what you guys are already good at. And if you have any questions or whatever, not just related to strings, but Python in general or programming in general or anything else, feel free to ask me. Yeah. So you have written the problem statement at the
Yes,
top.
sir.
That is good. Uh, okay.
Sir, the user gives
Yeah.
us the encrypted string,
Mhm.
sir, like
Yeah.
AC2BD3, sir.
Hmm.
Uh, we decrypt the string, sir, using the
Okay.
uh,
Hmm. You decrypt the string, right? Yeah. That's
uh,
basically the point.
uh,
So, what are you doing? Can you describe your problem? Let's try something. Let's first run it. Let's give
okay,
it
sir.
the input in the example. Let's see what it does.
Mm.
That is correct. Yeah.
Uh,
That's awesome. Can you try out the second input?
Sir, I tried only for this input, sir.
Okay, that's fine. So your program does 50% of the job. We'll see what it does with the second input. If it errors out, we'll take a look at your logic and we'll try to figure out what's missing, and then we'll come up with the correct logic together. Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, let's give it a shot. Let's see what it does.
Uh, Sir, in this line, uh,
Hmm.
sir, we get the input from the user, sir.
Right.
Uh, and we created new the current word and the new word, two variables, sir.
Mhm. Two variables, one for the current
Current
word
word,
and
one for the
for a
new
new
word,
word.
sir.
Okay.
Okay.
And I see you are finally printing the current word. So that's your output.
Yes, sir. Output.
Awesome.
Um,
Okay. So yeah. Yeah, you can continue talking.
uh, Sir, I put for loop for traverse the each letter in the string, sir.
Okay.
Uh, just- mm. And I check it the letter is digit or not, sir.
hmm
Uh,
So
if
if
the
your letter is a
digit
digit or not,
or
that's what
not,
you're
uh,
checking.
yes, sir. If the
Okay.
letter is not digit, this code will run, sir. Current not digit. Current word concatenates the letter, sir.
Okay. You are just adding the letter
Adding the letter, sir.
to the. I'm really sorry. Give me a sec. You are adding the letter to the current word. Okay.
Current
So the
word.
current word is initially empty.
Yes, sir.
and it's going to have, if the letter is anything except a digit, it's going to have that letter now. Okay.
Yes, sir. And I also add the letter to the new word, sir.
Okay. So now your new word gets to the new word, you add the same letter. So you do the
Same
same
letter.
operation on both the variables. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, if the letter is digit,
Hmm.
this code will run, sir.
Okay. What does this do?
Um, this code concatenates the current word plus uh, new word. This new
Mhm.
word and multiplies the uh, digit
It multiplies the new word by
new
the
word
digit.
digit. Yes, sir.
I see. So if the new word is say, say you're in the input string AC to BD3,
Uh,
the so for the letter A, you would have added A to new word,
new word. Sir.
and same thing with
See,
current word.
yes, sir.
For the letter C, you would have
Uh,
added C to both
see.
those word variables.
Uh,
And when you came at 2,
uh,
you are going to go into the else block,
yes, sir.
and you will multiply
The new
the
word.
current new word, which is AC,
Uh,
with so you're converting the letter to an integer.
integer, yes, sir.
So and then you are subtracting 1.
Yes, sir.
So if, for example, over here the letter is 2, it will become integer 2, and 2 minus 1 is 1. So
One. Uh,
it will be like AC multiplied by 1,
mm.
and you are adding AC to
AC.
your current word, which is already AC.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then you are what's the next operation?
And then I clear the new word, sir.
Hmm.
Uh, Initialize the new word with empty string, sir.
You're basically resetting it.
Resetting that, sir.
Right. So now when the loop runs next,
Uh,
so whenever you encounter a digit,
mm.
you reset new word.
Resetting the new word. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So your new word is basically keeping track of all the letters so far, and this is what is multiplied by the digit, and then it's reset. And your current word is basically getting built up using this new word. You're using new word to build up your current word.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I see. And then finally, you are printing the current word. Okay, this is pretty good. Uh, do you want to run it with the second input now? Let's see what happens.
Okay, sir.
I see. Okay, you are not handling special characters, so it will error out. But we'll look at the error and try to start at the top and see what we can improve.
Okay.
Okay, so what does it do? It converts AC to AC,
Yes, sir.
which is fine.
Mm.
And okay, so now what it does is it treats the special character as a letter. Like it treats it just like a letter. It doesn't handle it.
Yes, sir.
And so it basically repeats everything from A to uh,
D
a D,
three times, sir.
ACC hash CD, and multiplies them. Okay. Okay, fine. I think your program does 90% of the job, so that's awesome. Uh, we'll try to figure out how to get the special character to work. Nikesh, did you understand that? Do you have any doubts so far?
No, sir.
Okay, you understood this, yeah?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Um,
So this is
Sir,
more or less the, yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
how to decrypt this word, sir?
Okay,
Can
yeah, that's what we'll try now. So first of all, I would like to point out the good things that you did. I see your Python script naming is great. It should be decrypt.py, but that is fine. You put a comment at the top with the problem statement. That's a good practice. Your variable names are pretty good. You're not using like variable names like A, B, C, D. That is really good. Um, your core logic is good enough. Like it's good enough for the first input. It just doesn't handle that extra special character case. But yeah, I really liked your approach. So what I thought I would do is we'll start from the problem statement. We'll think about what the problem is trying to tell us, and then we'll come up with a plan, and then we'll write the logic to handle everything, right? And then we'll also try to find out if the problem statement is missing certain edge cases, right? Like, so any program or any problem statement, it will not have all the information that you need from it. It will always, do you guys know what edge case means or corner case means?
Mm,
What that means is something that your logic, so something that only shows up at the corners, right? So your logic might solve like a lot of different types of test inputs, like AC to BD3 or AC to ACC hash CD3. But there might be one or two special kinds of inputs which might break your logic. So your logic might work for 95% of the inputs, but there might always be some input which might break it. So that 5% is called the edge case because it's at the edge. It's not what the input is going to be most of the time, but because you are taking an input from the user, you don't know what the user is thinking, right? They might not know what your program does. They might not know what the problem statement is about. So they might try to input anything that they want. And so you have to ideally handle those edge cases, uh, because users will try to break your program and try to insert like nonsensical input, but that is a part of the program's responsibility. So let's start from the problem statement. So input is an encrypted string. Oh, I think Rohit wants to jump. Okay, we'll just catch Rohit up and then we'll continue. I've added him. Hey Rohit. Rohit, can you hear me? Rohit has muted himself. He's setting up. What we were just discussing with Nikesh and Mahesh was, so Mahesh has pretty much solved problem number 4. We went over his solution, we tested it, and so his program handles the first test input, but it does not handle the second test input. So we were talking about edge cases and how you can't predict what the user will input into your code. Uh, your program should handle those edge cases. That's what we were discussing. Um, I'm going to now go from the top and try to understand the problem statement and solve this. So just let me know if you can hear me. All right. So, okay. Input is an encrypted string where there will be characters followed by a number. Okay. Uh, the way to decrypt is to repeat the characters by the number of times. Okay. And then finally, print the decrypted word and its length. So, whenever you come across a problem statement, you think about two things: what's the input and what's the output. And the first two sentences explain that. The input is going to be a string. The string is, I think Rohit dropped off, probably facing technical issues. So the input is going to be a string which is encrypted. Do you guys know what encrypted means? Encrypted basically means hidden. Like This it's locked, and to unlock it, you will need a key. Encrypted basically means sometimes you don't. Passwords are a good example. So when you log in into a website, your username and password, they are not stored in the website in that format, in the format in which you type it in, because that would be unsafe, right? Anyone working at that company can easily see your username and password and try to log in. So uh, the username can be visible, but the password is stored in an encrypted format. So it's basically like locked up, and there's a key that you have to decrypt it. So that is our input, and the output of this program is going to be the decrypted or the unlocked string. And the decryption is basically based on some logic, which is that you so if you have whatever letters and then a number, you make the letters repeat as many times as the number. So AC2 becomes ACAC. And besides, and then you have to print that decrypted word and then also print its length. So we know the input, we know the output. So great. uh, all we need to figure out now is how the decryption would work. That is the uh, that is going to be the tough part of this program. And on the decryption, there's an extra condition, which is that if there's any special characters. Now, what's a special character? Uh, Rohit, you can hear me, right? You good? Okay. Nikesh, what's a special character?
So it is other than A to Z, 1, 2, 3, so 1 to
Yeah,
10.
pretty much. Yeah, that's a good example. Um, do you think white space is a special character?
I think so, sir.
Yeah. This problem statement doesn't really mention. So I think it would be fair to think of white space as a special character or not. We can usually special characters are characters. Usually, yeah, it excludes white space, but for the purpose of this problem, I think it doesn't matter. You can think of a special character as including white space. So yeah, if you find any special characters in your string, you have to ignore all the characters between the number and that special character. So now let's look at the test inputs. AC2, PD3. Now it has basically these two substrings. You guys know what a substring is, yeah? So AC2, BD3 is a string. A substring is a part of the string. Um, a lot of string manipulation is trying to extract a substring or like doing things with like parts of the entire string. So if you look at the string, it has these two substrings, AC2 and BD3. So according to the problem statement, we convert AC2 into AC, fair enough. BD3 into BD, fair enough. Now, okay, the second test input. Uh, AC2 is fine, right? It's simple enough, AC. And then it's ACC hash. So what the problem statement wants me to do is it wants me to ignore ACC and hash. So I should basically throw away all those characters and start at C, the C after the hash. So for my program, it's as if ACC hash don't exist. So the next thing I'll process is CD3, which I'll convert into CD. So that is what it wants me to do. Um, okay, and okay, what did Mahesh do? You read the string from the user, and then you started uh, processing through a for loop, which is fine. One note I'll have is your from your variable names, it's not very clear what the role they are playing is. So I'm thinking I'll share my screen and try to. Um, try to like walk you guys through how to approach this. Give me one sec. Okay. How do I share my screen? Technical issues. You need to let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, awesome. So, okay, I'll just copy over the problem statement, just like you did. All right,
Sir, can I stop my screen?
you can stop sharing your screen. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So this is our problem statement. What I like to do is before I start actually implementing, I like to list out what my program is going to do. Right. This is in general a good strategy because actually writing the code is not the challenging part. Uh, the challenging part is actually figuring out how your logic is going to work, and that is not always writing code. That comes later. So uh, what I like to do is any problem statement or anything, just make a list of the tasks that your program is going to carry out, right? So in my plan, what is going to be the first thing I'll do? Yeah, any one of you. I want this to be interactive if possible. So yeah, what's the first thing my program will do?
First of all, we need to get inputs.
That is correct. I need to read the input from user. What next? I don't need the logic of the decryption. Just like you can, yeah, just the high level tasks. So one task could be decrypt the string, right? I don't want to get into how the decryption will happen. Just tell me what I should do next after I have read the string from the user.
Here we can separate alphabets and numerals.
Yeah, that is going getting into the decryption. I'll just say for now that I need to decrypt the input. Yeah, that's fine. And after I have done the decryption, what do I do now? I just print the decrypted string, right? And its length. Does this make sense? This is like very obvious, but it's a good thing to do when you are, because like as you go the problems will become more and more complicated. So this thing just does these three top level things. There might be programs which do like 10 such things, right? So it's good to keep track. So this is just a good practice thing. It's not we haven't started solving it now, but this is like a really important thing. So after I have made the plan, what I'm going to do is do the first thing, which is let's see, take the input, right? So I'll just write a comment saying that read the input, and feel free to stop me whenever you uh, like yeah, whenever you want to ask a question. So I'll store the input. I'll call it encrypted. Uh, call it string encrypted, and do input the encrypted string, right? Okay. Uh, Now, what next? I need to decrypt it. So, you guys know how Python functions work, right? Yeah, Mahesh and Nikesh.
Yes, sir. So
Yeah,
the
you
function
know, yeah, Python functions. You have implemented them, right? Before.
using def keywords, sir.
Def keyword, yeah, exactly. So def keyword lets you create these uh, pieces of code. Can you tell me what is the benefit of having a function for my decryption? Like, what is the point of it? I could just do the decryption here, right, in the main body of the function. But do you know why functions are preferred over putting the everything in the main block?
To reduce code reusability.
To increase code reusability, you mean, right?
Increasing.
Yeah, exactly. A function is basically reusable. You can just call it whenever you want. So if I want to decrypt again later at some point, I just call it again, right? So it's just, and I can even call it from other Python files. So all these functions that you use, right? Input, length, these are all functions someone else wrote, and we are using them, right? So that's the benefit of that. So if you notice, I haven't actually put anything inside this function. I'm just defining one. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to send my input string into this function and read the output string. So my output string will be called whatever, decrypted, and it's the output of uh, this function. Okay. And now I'll print, give a comment here saying decrypt, and finally print output. I'll print the decrypted string, and you guys know about f strings, right?
Yes, sir. Format strings.
Yeah, just put a f here and go. Okay, and the 9 saying that length of encrypted string is, so how do I get the length? You guys know this function?
Yes, sir. Length of
Yes, sir.
function.
Yeah. So if I execute it right now, what do you think will happen? If I just run this program right now, will it error out or will it print something? It will
Error.
error out, right? Yeah,
Error.
because my function isn't returning anything, but I'm trying to get a string from it, so this will fail. It is an exception. So what I'll do is I for now just return. Okay, another problem. It also doesn't take any argument. So two problems. So what I'll do is I'll fix the first problem and the second problem. I'll just return the string itself for now. I just want to test whether this whole thing works without actually caring about the main decryption thing. So let's just try to run this, see what happens. Enter encrypted string. So I'll enter AC2PD3. Yeah, okay. So it just did basically just printed the input string. So now comes the hard part, which is figuring out the decryption. Okay, so I'm going to basically reuse a lot of what Mahesh wrote because his code was pretty much doing the thing, but missing that extra case. So I'm going to put a doc string here uh, to just visualize how the decryption will work. So I'll use the test input that is in the problem, AC2BD3. Let's get into the decryption now. I take AC2BD3, and what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to split up the main string into these substrings which are interesting. So this main string AC2BD3 has two interesting substrings, AC2 and BD3, right? If my program can somehow tell this apart from this, that solves my purpose, right? Uh, Once I can somehow tell them apart, I can just write some logic to convert AC2 into AC, 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 basically AC, sorry, AC times 2, and BD3 into BD, BD, BD. This is what I need to do. For the second input, right? So this is input type 1. For the second input, what I need to do is okay, AC2 is simple enough. ACC hash I want to throw away, and CD3 is simple. So I want to basically throw away the substring in the middle. So I want to get to AC2, CD3, and now it's just easy. AC, AC, CD, CD, CD. Um, so if you notice, the hash uh, comes after a number here. Okay. Um, let's think about other possible inputs where the hash or any special character doesn't come like after a number or it comes up in other places. Can you guys uh, think of an input where the special character doesn't come after a number? Like just try to place the special character in unexpected places, right? Because sometimes when we get a problem statement, we try to just focus on it. We don't try to think about other edge cases like we talked about, but try to have an attitude of that you want to break your own program, right? So try to think of these weird inputs. So where else can the special character come? Like if you read the problem statement, it makes an assumption that the special character is going to be after a number, but that might not always be true, right? Does anyone want to suggest something? Like, do you think we can have something like this, AC2 and whatever CD3? How should this go? Can anyone tell me what this should output?
AC2 CD3.
Yeah. So what will be the output?
AC AC CD CD CD.
So yeah. So basically, what you're saying is that if the special character that is not after a number, you throw it away anyway, right? So it's not necessary that it's going to always come after a number, which makes sense. Um, yeah, this makes sense to me. What about something like AC2 hash CD3? What should this output? I think this is also simple. AC, AC, CD, CD, CD. What about something like AC hash 2 CD3? What about this?
CD, CD, CD.
You mean this? This is what you mean, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah, this is interesting though. You are basically saying that you ignore this. Over here, what happened is there's a number, but there's no letters before a number, before that number. So there's nothing to repeat, right? An empty string multiplied by 2 is an empty string. So this also makes sense to me. So our program should handle, so basically these three are edge cases, right? They are not defined in the problem statement, but we still used the problem statement to guess what the program should do, which is useful. So this is going to be my approach. I'm going to do what Mahesh did. I'm going to loop over the string, its characters. I'm going to examine each character. Now, each character can be put into three buckets, right? First bucket is a letter. Second bucket is number, and third bucket is special character. By the way, I forgot one other. I forgot something else. What if there's another edge case which is like AC 11 CD3? What now? Yeah, because the problem statement doesn't say whether it's going to be a single digit number or a double digit number. So this is kind of tricky, right? Um, we could do two things. If for example, you guys probably know what the word constraint means. So if we put a constraint on our program that the number has to be single digit, in that case, we can treat it as AC1, and then next one is a separate substring, right? So this in that case, this should be AC and then CD, CD, CD. But if you want to treat 11 like an actual one number, then we have to make AC repeat. We have to make AC this AC substring repeat 11 times. So we have AC times 11 and then CD, CD, CD. So there's like more. There's so many combinations possible when it comes to the inputs your program can take. So the longer you think about the program, the more like like the more of these edge cases will kind of start coming to you. So which is why like just spending some time on this is really useful. Um, what we'll do is for now we'll ignore this, or you guys can. I'm going to solve everything except for this one edge case, and you guys can treat it as a homework thing, and then go over it, and maybe in our next class we can talk about this. Uh, but yeah, for now we'll just assume that the numbers are going to be single digit numbers. Um, yeah. So coming back to the decryption. What I'm going to do is I'm going to loop over the string. I'm going to examine each character. If the character is a letter, right, I'm going to store it uh, in a different string. If the character is a number, I'm going to basically stop storing and whatever substring I have stored till that point, I'm going to multiply it by the number. So if I'm explaining it, it's not going to be as clear as if I write it out. But try to think about what you're going to do. You're going to loop over each character. you're going to create a separate empty string to store your substring, right? You're going to loop over. If you hit a letter, you just add that letter to your separate substring, which is initially empty. You keep adding letters as they come. The minute you encounter a digit, we'll focus on digits, not multi-digit numbers. You take that stored up substring and you multiply it with that number. And yeah, and then after that, you reset it, just like Mahesh had done in his program. And if you hit a special character, you just throw away the substring. So basically, Mahesh, your code was like 90% there, but just this extra else condition, right? If special character, throw the new word away. Something of that sort, that was missing, right? So I'm going to implement that now. So I'm going to define a variable which is s decrypted, which is basically, I think, current word for you. This is initially empty. And I'm going to have another variable called let's just call it s substring. Yeah, just call it s sub, and this is also empty. And now I loop over the string. So for I in, so far so good. Are you all with me? You are, right. I hope you'll stop me if something doesn't make sense. So okay. All right. Yeah, so I'm just going to loop over now. And I'm going to put a comment here explaining my logic. So if char is a digit, let's start with the easy case. If char is letter, uh, add it to a substring. Else, if or yeah, I don't have to be so detailed. If it's a digit, I multiply substring by digit and add it to my main string, which is going to be the output to main string. And if it's a special char, what do I do? Anyone?
Can ignore it, sir.
We can, yeah, we can just ignore it because see, okay, if I walk over a actual test input is going to make more sense. Like let's take AC2 BD3, right? So the first letter is A, so I add it to my substring. We can do a dry run. Dry run is basically taking the test input and manually checking your logic, right? So in my dry run, I'm going to, so my S decrypted is empty for now, yeah? and uh, and my substring is also empty, and my okay, I think it's just these two. So let's handle let's write out something. We'll just leave this dot dot dot. Um, how do I check if it's a letter?
If the
Mhm.
character
Yeah,
is
I want to
alpha, then
basically,
we want to store in substring.
yeah. So which function do I use to check if it's a letter?
Is alpha.
Is alpha.
Is alpha. Awesome. If I is in the alphabet is alpha, then do what?
Add it to substring, sir.
Yeah. So can I do something like s sub
Sub equal to
plus equals I? Does this make sense?
yes.
Yeah, it's empty. So I just, it's a shorthand operator to add a new append or add a new character to your string. This will work. Else if now I want to check if it's a digit. How do I do that?
If digit.
Awesome. If it's a digit, then okay. This is important. What I need to do is I need to first convert my digit into an int and then multiply my substring with that. So can I do something like s sub times uh, int I? Does this make sense?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And I need to now reset my substring. Okay, before resetting, I need to add it to my main string. I need to do s decrypted plus equals s sub. And now that I have backed up or stored the substring, I can reset it. That's like H was doing. So I can do this. Right. So this is like you have it's back to empty now. And finally, else. So I'm going to treat white space as a special character. Otherwise, if I wanted to exclude white space, I could have done something like elif, you know, if I is white space, then ignore it or whatever. But let's not complicate things. Let's just treat everything else as a special character and do else. Okay, so it's not clear what we do here, right? How about we just reset it right away? The only difference between the letter being a digit versus the letter being a special character is in the case of it being a digit, I update my substring and store it. In the case of special character, I just throw the whole thing away. I don't care. So this should work, but let's do a dry run. So in my dry run, I'll take the easy input AC2 BD3. This is basically my input string. Yes, and it. Okay, so control comes into this. My S is basically okay. I'll just call it. I'll call it S. My S is basically this string. These two are empty. For I in S, so I is currently A. If A is an alpha is in the alphabet, I update the substring. So this becomes A. Yeah. Um, and then we ignore these two. Next iteration of the loop, the I letter is C. So I again land up in this block and append it. So my A becomes AC. And in the next iteration of the loop, I again land up. No, I don't land up here. I land up here because 2 is a digit. What I do is I convert 2 into an integer and I do string times 2, which will make the string repeat itself that many times. So AC will become AC, AC. Yeah. And I'm going to add it to my main string. So I'm going to uh, convert this to AC, AC. And then I'm going to reset it to empty. Yeah. Um, okay. And then it's going to continue with B. So now my substring will again take in B, and after that it will become BD. After that it will become BD times 3. So BD times 3, which is BD, BD, BD. And now I'm going to back it up into my main string. This will become AC, AC, BD, BD, BD. And I'll reset this. And that's it. I'll leave the loop. I'll leave the method. I'll output this. So let's test my program with this simple input, and then we'll do it with the difficult inputs. Terminal. Let's see. Is this the one? Yeah. Enter encrypted string. Oh, I missed something. I am returning the input string, not the input string. Okay, let's run it again. Oh yeah, I can do this. So what's my input string? AC to BB. Okay, it works. Uh, let's do a dry run with the difficult input. Uh, just stop me again if something doesn't make sense. I think so far we have been covering uh, uh, simple stuff. So if my input is say this, okay, so these two are empty to start with, and then let's loop over this. So the first thing that gets stored in the substring is A, followed by AC, and I hit a number, so I convert this into AC. I add this to my empty uh, decrypted output string, and I reset it. Um, and then what's next? Uh, A again. So this thing becomes A and AC and A double C. And now there's a hash character, which means I'll do what? Just throw it away. So it's as if it's as if those characters aren't present at all. And then not only am I going to ignore all these characters before the special char, I'm also ignoring the special char, right? Because this is the last thing in the loop. It will now just run up to the next character. So my main string hasn't updated. Um, and now the next character is C. This becomes C. And D. So this becomes CD. And now there's a 3 here. I make this CD. And just add that here. Just put this here and output this. So this should also work as per my dry run. You can't always dry run more complicated logic, but this is simple enough, so we can. Let's run this with this input now. It works. Let's also try out these other weirder input strings. Run it again. Does it work? It works. It just ignored this. And let's try it with this. Good. Let's try it with this. Awesome. So, okay, let's try it with something more complicated, which will not work. But what I was talking about, AC like 11, right? Which my code doesn't really handle. But if I do AC 11 BD2, what's going to happen? It's going to treat AC1 as a separate unit and the other one as a separate unit. And so it doesn't really make AC repeat 11 times, but I leave that to you guys to try out. Uh, so yeah, where are we? Like, were you guys able to understand that? Like, did that make sense to you? Nikesh, Mahesh, Rohit,
Okay,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
you understood that?
Yes,
Uh,
sir. Yes, sir.
Yes.
Rohit, by the way, I forgot to ask you, had you tried solving this?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you were able to handle the special character also?
Yes, sir. But my program also passed the double digit, correct? Double
Oh, it
digit.
did. Why don't you share your screen? We can take a look at it. That is awesome.
Sir, I am in travel.
Oh, okay, okay, fine, fine. Okay, but that is really cool that you solved that extra edge case. Uh, if possible, try uploading it. I want to take a look at your solution and leave notes. But that is really cool that you solved it. Uh, any questions so far? Not just about this problem, but in general. Like, if you just think about the approach I took, uh, writing out the problem statement, Mahesh did that. Coming up with like a top level plan of the things to do. Uh, uh, Moving out the main logic of the decryption into a separate function. I did that using comments, using descriptive variable names, um, all that. So all of that contributes to writing a good program. Uh, yeah. By the way, Rohit, like, can you suggest how I should fix my problem to make it handle double digits? If it's not too complicated, like, do you think your solution, I can plug it into my problem right now? Do you think it will work? Is it like a minor change I need to make or something more substantial?
Sir, I think yeah, we need to also check um, I plus one also. If
Mhm. So you are saying
if
when I'm checking if I is a digit, I need to also check I plus one.
sir,
Okay, that makes sense. But say it's 4 digits. So will you stop at I plus one or will you keep going till you get a letter?
then if it is 4 digit,
It will not work.
uh, yes, sir.
Right. Yeah. Well, okay. Yes, that is fine. So you basically, your assumption was, and we sometimes, all of us do that, right? When we solve a problem, we create these additional constraints in our head, right? Right? These rules. Uh, your rule was a little ahead of mine. I My rule was 1 digit. That's it. Your rule was 2 digits. Ideally, the program should handle like a variable number of digits, right? Uh, so try to improve your program, and I want Nikesh and Mahesh, you guys as well. Try to. I'll maybe. I'm not sure how I can send you my source code. I'll try to figure out a way to upload it. Do you guys have GitHubs? I don't really know if you version control your solutions. Do you guys each have your own GitHub, or is there a common GitHub you guys upload the
No,
your
sir. Now we are using Google Drive.
Google Drive? Okay. Can you send me the link to that Google Drive? Basically, I want you guys to like be uploading your solutions, and then I want to go over your programs, right, in class, because I think it's going to be valuable. We can go over what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong, and try to improve. Uh, let's figure something out, or maybe I can ask Chitra ma'am when she's back. But yeah, as far as this problem goes, try going back and try handling this extra. You guys know how to do special characters now, how to do 1 digit now. So go back and try to get multiple digits too. Okay, just a homework. Rohit dropped off, I think. Okay, so we still have some time. We can go to problem number 5. Do you guys want to do that? Or if you have any questions, let me know.
No doubt, sir.
Okay, fine. So we'll go to problem 5 because we have a lot of time. Usually, are these 2-hour classes or are these 1-hour classes?
2 hour class.
2 hour classes.
2-hour class. Okay. What we'll do is I'll take a quick 2-minute break. You guys also take a quick 2-minute break. We'll come back and we'll get at problem number 5. Sound good?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. I'll just be back.
Okay.
So, did you guys try out problem number 5?
Sir.
Okay, that's cool. I don't know if I should solve it for you if you haven't tried it out. Um, hmm. The previous 3 problems, would Chitra ma'am wait for you to complete it and then go over it, or would she do it in the class? Maybe I can go over it anyway. Um, create a new file. Okay, I'll copy the thing. So, because you guys haven't actually attempted this, I want to focus on uh, hearing from you about what you think about this problem statement. So, who wants to take this? I want one of you to explain to me what this problem statement means, and so we'll go over it together. We'll do a dry run together. We'll come up with a plan. We'll solve it. Nikesh, why don't or yeah, Nikesh, yeah, why not? Let's go. Yeah, just read out the problem statement. We'll try to understand it together.
Okay, sir. Write the function most frequent letters. So First of all, you need to write a function, namely most frequent letters, that takes a strings yes. So here it takes a strings as input yes, and ignoring cases. So I think it ignores. It means it is not a case sensitive and
Mhm.
returns a lowercase string containing the strings of letters of S in most frequently used order. So it needs to be print most frequently letters that is we used. Um,
Mhm.
in the event of a tie between two letters follow alphabetical order. So if the
Yeah.
most frequently used letter is equals the number of which means both are the same numbers means
Mhm.
we need to follow the alphabetic order. So here gives an examples. We attack at dawn is the input and output should be A T W. That's also.
Right. And then it says do not use dictionaries.
Yes,
Have
sir.
you guys gone over dictionaries yet? Like, have dictionaries been taught to you guys, or do you know how to use dictionaries?
No, sir.
Okay, fine. So, uh, yeah, like usually when it's said that don't use this approach, it's because that approach is faster. So, but this problem statement wants you to not use this thing. Maybe what we'll do is we'll quickly uh, if dictionaries haven't been taught to you yet, I can maybe do a I'll just quickly explain to you what dictionaries are at the end. But for now, we'll try to not use those. Uh, okay, so write a function, most frequent letters. Uh, okay, so it's telling me the problem statement is literally telling me that I need to define a function, and it will take an input s. It will ignore all case, and it will return a string containing the letters of S in most frequently used order. And then it tells me that if there are two letters and their frequency is the same, then I'm going to go by the alphabetical order. So whichever letter is, comes before in the alphabet, I'm going to use that. Okay. And then it gives me an input. We attack at dawn. So if we focus on this, which is the letter which has the most number of occurrences in this sentence? Anyone?
Letter A has the most.
That is correct. Letter A is in this sentence one, two, three,
Times, sir.
4 times. So the output string has A at the first, which is the letter which is the second most occurrent in this sentence. So I can see T occurring twice. Okay, 3 times. So I think after A, it's T. That is why A is followed by T in the output. And then W occurs twice. But yeah, so W is the third most frequent. C occurs once. D also occurs once. So this is a tie between C and D. So we put C ahead of D because it comes before in the alphabet. Um, and same thing with the others. All of these, starting from C, all of these come just once in the sentence. So we just sort them alphabetically. Just A, T, and W are like standouts. So A is 4 times, T is 3 times, and W is 2 times. So, okay. So let's come up with the plan without getting into the logic of how this will work. The plan is read input. And again, this is not something you have to do every time. You can, or like as a doc string at the top of your program. This is just something I do. You can use a comment or whatever to just lay out your plan. Read the input, uh, convert into output. Yeah, function. And finally, so the program doesn't tell what to do with the output, but I'm assuming I will just print it. Output. Okay, so it's easy. I can get started. So I'll first define a skeleton of a function, most frequent letters. Right, I'll just, it's empty. So I'll just write pass and move on. I'll read the input. So the input's going to be, let's call it, sentence, and input. And, let's take a string S. Okay, I'll just go by what it tells me to call it, enter string. And then I'll send this string into my function. And the output of the function is going to be, let's call it most frequent string. Basically the output of, and then finally print we'll just print, will not be fancy, we'll just print the string. Right. Comment here. Comment. Now this function. Set up a doc string to do a dry run and come up with a plan. So how will this work? I want all of you to pitch in and okay, I'll just go maybe one by one. I want you to think about it. I want you, it's not about solving it, it's about just your approach. How would you go about it, Nikesh?
Sir, we can first remove the cases.
Okay, remove the cases. You mean convert everything to lowercase?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So I'm going to write out your convert S to all lowercase. And you're doing this because the problem statement saying that case isn't really important. What will return is all going to be all lowercase anyway. So this is fine. This makes sense to me. What next? Or yeah, Mahesh, if you want to, what's next?
Sir, we count the number of letters.
Okay, count the number of letters. The problem is that there's a bunch of letters, right? And really there's no limit on how many. There's 26 different letters in the alphabet, and I mean, practically speaking, all of them can be present in the input string, right? So how do you want to count the letters? Do you want to count the number of each letter, or how do you want to do that? Or do you want to have something like count of letter A and then count of letter B and then count, and then C and then D and then all the way till Z? But you will need 26 different variables for that.
Yes, sir.
Or okay, you could use a list or something of size 26 and store the counts in that list. But yeah, I mean, your suggestion makes sense, but there's some issues, right? So we definitely need to do some counting for sure. Uh, and yeah, speaking about counting, which function do I use to count it? So uh, let's say, okay, let's say, okay, I'll just create a Python command line here. So let's say my string was whatever, we attack it on. Yeah. How do I count, say, the number of occurrences of the letter A? How do I do that? Rohit, do you know the function? I just want to count.
So can we use counter function?
Yeah, yeah. So how would that work? S dot count maybe, and then the letter A. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, yeah. Letter A. So that's 3 times, not 4 times. I think I counted 4 for some reason earlier. Uh, can we do that in our code though? Is the question. I mean, we know how to count a specific letter, you know, or even how to count the number of occurrences of a substring, right? So say I would, if I were to do s dot count v, that would still work, but it's a little more complicated. I can't just, what do I count and how do I store it, and what do I do with that count? It's pretty, it's not as straightforward as it looks. So how should we proceed? Or before we actually proceed with the counting and all, can we simplify our
We
input
want
sentence? Yeah, what's that?
we want to remove spaces.
Yes, yes. Because if you look at the output, it doesn't really care about the number of the white space in the sentence. Yeah, it's just about the letters. Uh, so how do I remove white space uh, from this? So, oh, okay, remove white space. Okay, fine. I remove the white space. So, okay, what I'll do is after each operation, I'll just write out how my sentence would look like. So after I do this, my sentence becomes we act. Then after I remove the white space, my sentence looks like okay. Uh, and then after this, the actual algo. Uh, let's write out the first two things. It's good to make progress. So let's convert to lowercase. How do I convert to lowercase?
So there is an inbuilt function.
What is that?
Lower string dot
So s dot
lower.
low. Okay, and then I have to store it. Yeah, it should work. So you guys also know how to use the debugger, right? In VS Code.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So let's try out using that as well, because we kind of did not spend a lot of time debugging our first problem. So let's practice using the debugger. How does it work? Control. How do I bring it up? Does anyone know? There's some keyboard shortcut. Start debugging. Oh, it's already there. Let's see what this does. Python 5. Okay, great. Variables watch call stack breakpoints. Um, will not. Okay, yeah. What we'll do right now for now is we'll just return s. That makes sense to me. Don't really care about other things. Return s. So let's execute this. I'll stop it. I'll restart it. Enter string. So let's enter the input string. Awesome. So our lowercase statement worked. How do I get rid of white space?
Sir, we can replace it.
Okay.
Into
Replace. What do I replace with what?
uh, that space character to non-space.
This.
Just quotes without space.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Really sorry about
Yes,
my
sir.
laptop just kind of froze. Okay, share again. Yeah, okay, you're back. Okay, so let's pick up where we left off. Okay. Yeah, we were just at the replace. We replace the space with a empty character. Uh, let's try to debug this. Start debugging, Python, set running. Yes, okay. We attack it dawn. Oh, it did not work. How come? Oh, I did not update my string. Okay, so what do we do next? We're done with the easy part. We have cleaned up the input. Uh, we are now ready to actually run the main logic. Who has ideas? So we have a really simple string now. All we need to do is sort it from most frequent letter to least frequent letter. See, we know what the final string looks like, right? We know that the final string looks like there's going to be some processing, and the final string will look like this. This is the output. Um, if we can somehow figure out a way to just sort the letters based on their count, after that, the only thing that will remain is getting rid of duplicates. Does that make sense to you guys? So if we have, okay, we have re-attack at dawn. If we know that the most frequent letter is A, if we can just figure out how to get all the A's at the beginning, followed by all the T's, followed by all the W's and C and all that, Then you just get rid of the duplicates and you have the final output. That makes sense, right? That part is easy. Getting rid of duplicate characters is easy. It's just about getting all the letters sorted. So we know that there is some kind of sorting that's going to be involved. Uh, do you guys know how to sort in Python? Have you covered that topic? Yeah, Mahesh. Have you guys covered sorting? Yeah, Nikesh.
I don't think so, sir. Not yet, I think, sir.
Okay. This will involve Mahesh, you are saying something?
No, sir. No, sir. Nothing, sir.
Okay. Um, Maybe I can intro it. The way I was thinking of solving this problem is using this Python function called sorted. So what this function does is, so Python has two sort functions. There's one called just sort, and there's another one called sorted. The only difference is, I'll show you what the difference is. Let me try to invoke that function through the command line. Okay, so I'll just take a string, uh, whatever. I can do two things. I can either do s dot, okay, there's a function called s dot sort. Yeah, string object has no attribute sort. Maybe it's this. Why doesn't it work? Okay, all right. So this function, right, sort, it only runs on lists. It does not really work with strings. So it takes in an input list. So it will take in something like sort and then a list of whatever item 3, 1, 2, and it will, oh, sorry, it's an attribute of lists. So I can do this. So, okay, I need to print this. Okay, I think this is going to be better. I'll define a list called L, which is 3, 1, 2, right? And I do L dot sort. So what this will do is it will sort the list L in place. So it will basically update the list. So if I were to print out the list now, it's sorted. But it doesn't work with strings. So if I want to sort a string, the letters of a string using this, I have to first convert my string into a list and then run it into this function. There's another function called sorted. What this can do is it can take in a string and return a list with the sorted letters. So it would take in the strings, let's say whatever, and it sorts all the letters and it returns a list with the sorted output. And I can convert this list back into a string. Uh, does anyone know how I can do that? You guys might have used lists before, right? I think in your loop classes. So if I have a list, right? Let's say this. How do I convert it into a string? Just define a list. Say A, and I want a string which is AB. So what do I do? Okay, the function is called join. So so join, the way it works is it takes in a string, and I can do string dot join and pass in the list. what it's going to do is going to put all the items in the list together, separated by this string. So my string is basically empty. So the output of this is going to be AB. If I were to keep a space here, the output would be A space B. So this is, it's called a delimiter. So basically I can specify, this is my delimiter. This is how I want all the list items to be separated. And the output is going to be this string. So uh, yeah. Coming back to the main problem. So yeah, this is a way to convert from list to string. So what I can do is I can take the output of sorted and convert it into a string. So I can do whatever delimiter I want. Let's say empty string dot join, and then the output of sorted. So if the input of sorted is something like uh, this, let's say, we are not really just doing a simple sort, but technically this could work. Uh, so over here, what it did was it sorted the letters of the input string alphabetically, and then it created a list, and then it merged the list through the join function. So we have to do something like this. However, the difference is we don't want to sort the letters alphabetically. That is our fallback. The main criteria for us when it comes to the sorting is the number of times that letter has appeared in the string, right? So we are going to try to do a modified kind of a sort, not really the default sorting logic that this function uses for letters, but there is some sorting involved. So what I'll do is I'll try to again I'll try to approach the problem in steps. So the first thing I'll do is something that's wrong. I'll try to just sort the string alphabetically and then try to fix that. Sort the string alphabetically, right? So if I do that, my string becomes basically just this. Yeah. Does that make sense to you guys? Like, are you guys with me on the approach so far? So now it's just about fixing the sort. Instead of sorting like normally alphabetically, we'll do a special sort. But for now, I'll just do this. Let me execute it. I get the wrong output, but that is fine. How do I run this? Run. Okay, it asks me for the input. Oh, something went wrong. Okay. Oh, I didn't actually add the code. So I have to do this. Again. Missing parentheses in method call. What am I doing wrong? Join sorted. Oh, cancel. Let's clear this. Run. Yes. Okay. Yeah. This is clearly wrong. But let's try and fix this now. How do I get the sort to work correctly? So this function, right? It can take in an extra couple of arguments. Let's look at those arguments. So uh, what's usually a good practice is for any function to figure out how it works to go to its Python documentation. We'll go to the documentation of this function, looking at the sorted docs. Is this? Okay. So this is the definition of sorted. It takes in the iterable, which is any sequence you can iterate over. In this case, our sequence is a string. And it also takes two other arguments, key and reverse. Uh, okay, reverse is simple enough. By default, the sorting is done from uh, less to more, ascending order. So if I wanted to reverse it, so basically a reverse sort, I would just do reverse equals true. Yeah, so let's try that out. Oh, sorry. I'll do sort this and then reverse. Run. Or okay, instead of doing this, instead of returning something fake, I will put a breakpoint here and it will automatically stop. We attack it on. Oh, it stopped before it. Okay, let's just run again. Yeah, so this is what it did. It basically sorted from later in the alphabet to before in the alphabet. Uh, so this is one argument we can use. Another argument we can use is key. Are you guys with me so far? What I'm doing, is that making sense?
Yes, yes, sir.
Yeah. So yeah, let's see. Um, let's take a look at this key argument. Key specifies a function of one argument. So key is a function, and that function takes one argument. And what it does is it extracts a comparison key from each element in iterable. For example, the key could be string.lower, right? This is a function. Lower is a function. By default, it's none, which means that the elements are compared directly. What it's saying is that when we are trying to sort this string, by default, every letter will be compared with another letter of the string alphabetically, right? And then based on that alphabetical comparison, the sorting will happen. But that is something that we can modify. So if hypothetically, instead of comparing the letters themselves, if we wanted to compare the frequency of the letters, uh, could we do that through this function? So what I'm trying to say is that if we go here, um, instead of comparing W with E, if I try to compare the count of W with the E of W, if I were to have a function which gives me for each element in this list, in this string, its count, and if I were to compare those counts, would the sorting give me what I wanted? I want you guys to think about that. So uh, is the function of the key argument clear? If not, let me know. Does the meaning of key make sense? Yeah, Nikesh. Does it make sense? Because it's a little confusing what key means in this context. But what I'm saying, does that make sense to you? So what I'm saying is that we are basically sorting this, and I get that you guys haven't covered sorting before. You know what sorting is, right? In general.
Yes, sir. Arranging
Yeah,
in.
yeah. You might have. I'm not sure if you have covered like different kinds of sortings, bubble sort, selection sort. We can discuss that later if you want. But sorting is basically ordering the items of a sequence. In this case, the sequence is a string. Usually, when we try to sort a string, we try to compare each character with another character using its alphabetical order. So if I compare A with B, A is less than B because it comes before in the alphabet. That is a default behavior of sorting on letters. But in this function, we can control what it will compare. So if you wanted to, instead of comparing the letters themselves, so instead of, for example, particular in this particular string, if I wanted it to compare, instead of W with E, the count of W with the E of W with the count of E, it could be done. And if we do that, we are basically sorting by which letter is has more as a has a higher count, right? So say if I somehow were able to get sorting to happen based on the count of these letters, the letter with the highest count, would it not like come first? So if I were to compare between W and E, their count, so the count of W would be 2, I guess, and the count of E would be 1. So W would get sorted before E, right? Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Right. So all I need to do is somehow set my key argument to a function which gives me the count of each letter in the string. If I do that, what this function will do internally is it will run that function on each item in the list and compare their counts, right? Do I have any function which can give me the count of a letter in the string?
Count function.
Count, yeah. So all I need to do is set the key to the count function. Yeah. Uh, there's only one problem. If I were to just do something like key equals count, it won't really work because count is a function that it's a method. Yeah. So if you have covered object oriented programming before, a method runs on an object, in this case a string object. So I want to specify not just the method count but string dot count, but I can't do this. uh, I don't think this will work because the letter S does have a meaning in this function, but inside, when I call sorted and control will go into sorted function, it will not really know what S is, right? So I have to uh, do something else. This won't really work. Like, okay, if I try running this, yeah, let me put a breakpoint. Let me put a, okay, I think if I put a breakpoint here, it will stop here. Let's try that. And then debug, enter string, we attack it on. Okay, and now I uh, run it. It did work. Amazing. do you think the output is kind of very similar to what we want? This is basically what we want. This is what we have. Okay, there's some problems, I think. Uh, okay, yeah, the problem is that it's sorting A and T and W properly, like it should, but it did not, it wasn't able to sort these correctly. Uh, it sorted E ahead of C. Do you guys know why it did that? Because I have set the reverse to true. So it's basically sorting the higher letter first, which is a problem.
But C is not a higher letter to compared with the D, K, M.
Oh, yeah. So what is it doing here? For all of these five letters, the count is 1. So it's doing something weird. I'm not really sure what logic it's using to sort them. Maybe is it possible it's just based on the order in which it sees the letters? So out of these five, E shows up first, right? It's right after W. And then C shows up. So, and then K shows up, and then D, and then N. So I think it's just sorting based on the order in which those letters are encountered by it. We'll try something else. Instead of this, we'll give it a different function, a different way to specify this. And this is, I think, a new keyword. It might be a new keyword for you guys. But there's this thing called lambda functions. Do you guys know what that is? So yeah, a lambda function is, it sounds fancy, but it's basically just a one-line function. So if you want to specify a function in line, so instead of defining a function through the def keyword, Python also lets you define a function inside some random line through this lambda keyword. So what you can do here is you can just do lambda keyword and then some input, let's say x, and then you can tell it what you want x to convert to. So in this case, you want x to convert to s dot count x. So what this function will do is uh, it will take an input x and it will output the count of x in the string s. That's basically it. It's just going to map x to count of x inside the string s. Let's try this. Let's see if this works. Why doesn't it go ahead? Let me try it again. And the call stack is right now in Lambda. still paused. You just stop the debugger, try to run it the old-fashioned way. We get the same output. Uh, we still need to fix this. Does anyone have any ideas on how to fix this? So we don't really know why it's treating the letters that show up, because okay, we are not really giving it a fallback. Uh, it's behavior when there are letters with all with occurrences at the same value. So basically a tie, it's just printing them uh, based on the order in which they are present in the sentence or something. Hmm. So one option that we have is we give the fallback, we actually code in the fallback condition in to this thing. So we explicitly tell it that in case of a tie, you go by the alphabetical order. But I thought that that's what it would do anyway. But because we have overridden that, it's doing this. So one thing that we can try is we can first try sorting it normally. Let's try that. Because if it's going by the order in which the letters are present, if we pre-sort it, it will basically use the pre-sorted order. So I'm going to try that out. I'm going to first sort it alphabetically, uh, which shouldn't be a problem because the final output is going to be, yeah, it's not going to be affected if I pre-sort it. So if I want to just do a normal sort, I do this. Should I keep reverse equals true? Uh, should I keep reverse equals true? The problem statement says, in case of a tie, follow alphabetical order. So in case of a tie, I want the smaller letter to come first, right? So in my pre-sort, I don't want it to be reversed. I just want a normal sort from low to high. I'm going to put a breakpoint over here. I just want to look at this output. The breakpoint over here. I want to look at this output. I want to make sure that uh, the letters that are tied up, they get sorted correctly. And then I wanted to resort again based on the count. And it will then treat the other letters, I think, normally. So let's run this. Oh. Run it again. Enter string. Get back at dawn. Okay. This is the first breakpoint. Let's keep running. Okay. So what has this become? It has sorted the input string via tag at dawn. based on alphabetical order. So A and then C, D, E, K, N, T, and then finally W. So now what I'm thinking is that when it sorts again, it will retain the order of the tied letters C, D, E, K, N, whichever ones are tied. So to check, let's run the main sort. What happened? Hmm. I'm just going to run it normally. String, we attack at dawn. This correct. Okay, we got the tight letters to work. Uh, is there anything pending? We need to get rid of the duplicates. How do we do that? Does anyone know? How do I get rid of the duplicates?
Sir, we can create a new string, empty string, and
Okay,
add.
let's do that. So create a new string. So string with unique characters. And then what do I do?
We can use a for loop to.
Just loop over S. So for I in S, what do I do here? I should update these, by the way. Sort the string alphabetically, then sort the string by count in descending order, and finally get rid of duplicates. So yeah, this should be the correct thing. So basically, yeah, you're right. For INS, what I do is if INS unique, skip, otherwise append. So if I not in S unique, S unique, add I, and then return S unique. Should work. Let's run it. Get off my breakpoints. Run. Yay! It worked. Okay, that took a lot of time, but it did work out at the end. Um, any questions? Like, was that clear? It's a good thing we got to debug a bunch of things while figuring out the sort. But did that solution make sense to you?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Well, what about you, Mahesh?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Rohit, you've just joined back. We basically figured out how to get the sorting to work. We first sorted it alphabetically in ascending order, and then sorted it based on the count. Instead of using a lambda function, I think we can just do s.count. That should also be fine. And in descending order this time. And then we got rid of the duplicate characters in our string and we returned it. So we got the output to work. Uh, since we are overshooting on time, I won't try out more test inputs, but I try to figure out a way to get my solutions to you guys through Drive or GitHub. And what I want you to do is I want you to go over the problem 5 solution, try to understand it, try to spend some time on whether you can figure out other approaches for this. Also, for the first problem, I want you guys to try to get multiple digits to work if you can. And the next two problems, 6 and 7, I think the next class might cover those. So if you haven't taken a look at those problems, try them out, and yeah, we'll solve it in class. Okay. I'm really sorry about taking up more time than allocated. We can stop now. Yeah. Any questions? Anything you want to say?
So please share the solution.
I will share the solutions for sure. Yeah. And I want you to share your solution as well with me for problem 4, and
Okay, sir.
try to extend it to handle multiple digits. And let's come up with a system. Maybe there's one already where you keep uploading your solutions to GitHub and review them in class. So, all right. Okay, it was really nice talking to you guys and solving these problems. I hope you enjoyed the class. It was my first class. So, uh, if if you have any feedback, or if you think you want me to focus on something else, or then let me know. But yeah, good night, guys. See you next week, hopefully.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you,
Thanks,
sir.
Nikesh. Thanks, Mahesh. Thanks, Rohit.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye. Good night.
Bye, sir.
Bye, sir.
Bye.
Bye, sir.